All right, we just finished up the Pacific Cup tournament, and we're in the off week here. And I want to do. I'm going to play my 99 account this week, which has got my low level clubs in it, and I want to. Like go back to the basics. So I know, when you shoot these videos, I've shot some videos on wind rings and how to adjust for the wind and how to figure out your numbers for your clubs and all that. And so when you shoot these videos, you go, "Oh, I already got those videos up there," but I want to shoot some new videos just going out with my low level account and really trying to help people get into number one, to get into the weekend round. So the whole thing starts with, and I know if you watch my channel on a regular basis, I'm not trying to preach about it, but the whole deal is this: every single thing in Golf Clash when you're playing in these tournaments starts with the minimum score. So in the Pacific Cup, as a prime example, the minimum score was minus 12 per 9 holes. So you're looking at minus 12, minus 24, minus 24. So in an expert bracket, in an expert rookie bracket, and we'll do this one. This is just a rookie bracket. We'll go down and see where the 24 started. So if you're in 24th, you got 20th place, just with the minimum score. And the person that was the top rated one came in with a 27 and a 12. Let's go down and see if we can find the 24, 26, 25 round. Looks like it's somewhere right in here. So if you came in with the minimum score here, you're looking at a top 24, looking at 24th place. Looking at 24th place if you came in with the minus 12, minus 24, minus 24. So you're looking at a top 30 finish just by shooting the minimum score. Now, if you didn't have good tiebreakers and you came in, you're looking at 32nd. But you're looking at, in this bracket right here, somewhere between 24th and 32nd. And if we do the math on 700 people it takes to get into a weekend bracket, and 10% of that 70 people, so you're in the top 10% of the game if you're making the weekend, top 15% if you're making the weekend. If you're in the top 70, you're in the top 10%. You start shooting this right here, you're all of a sudden in the top 5%. So to get to this point where you're in this top 5%, all you have to do, believe it or not, is just shoot the minimum score. And so when you first start playing, it's so important to focus on minimum score. Don't worry about trying to get, like when you set yourself up, the whole goal is you got a green out here and here's the tee box. You hit your first shot, you put yourself in absolutely the best spot to make this next shot. And if you do that every single time, you're going to be shooting this minimum score every single time, and you're giving yourself an opportunity to pick up shots. Whether you pick those shots up or not really is not important. What's important is that you put yourself in the right spot to pick up that shot. Because picking up those shots and getting from that top 15, top 20 into the top 10, into the top 5, trying to get a win it boils down to one mistake. If you make one mistake, you could end up in 6th, and you didn't make that mistake and you're all of a sudden getting a banner. So it's really tight as you start to go up the ranks. But getting into this range right here where you're in that top 5% is super easy, because all you have to do is shoot the minimum score. And so what I really want to focus on this week with my 99 account is just going out and just like playing the fundamentals, just try playing the basic stuff so that we can go out on courses and not think about, like, what am I going to do on this hole? There should not be any fear when you go on a hole. The whole deal is to put yourself in the right spot so that you've got that perfect shot going into the cup. And that's what I really want to focus on this week. So it all starts off with clubs. Now, there's several different ways. I use the wind ring method. So anybody who watches my videos, y'all know that I use the wind ring method. And there are several different ways to do it. You can get one of the apps. You can get the Golf Clash Notebook app. There's a Golf Clash Caddy app. There's several apps that are out there that you can put in your clubs, and you can do that. I know the Golf Clash Notebook app, it's not that expensive. It's not prohibitive. It's less than $5, I think, and you can use those apps. I know Hammer and Hank, If you watch his channel, he uses the app and he uses it exclusively, and he's super successful. So you can use those apps and be super successful. I am a pen and paper kind of guy, and I do it the old-fashioned way. And in sometimes I think maybe that hurts me that I do it the old-fashioned way, but I have a lot of flexibility on it. So, you know, I mean, I can work my numbers. I can work whatever numbers I want because I'm doing it with pen and paper. So I'm going to show you how to do the pen and paper way so that it doesn't cost you any money. It just takes a little bit of time. And what you want to do is you want to set your bags up. The Kings of Golf 2 is going up to Pro, and we're going to get 3 bags. And that's really, really awesome because I can have a distance bag, extra mile, all starts with the driver. And then I can have an accurate bag, quarterback. And then my third bag, when we get that bag, I'm going to set it up with a big topper and a big dog. And that's going to be my bag, because there's some holes that you need a big dog, and the big topper can get me out into all of those spots. So having that third bag set up, but setting your bags up and knowing the numbers on your club. So here's how I do it. This is old school. When the game first came out, there was nothing out there. And Tommy put out a video with a buddy of his who really figured out the wind rings, and they had a sheet of paper in the background. And on that sheet of paper, there was some numbers written down. And what it was is if you have a 100% accurate club, it's 1 per ring. If you have a 50% accurate club, it is 2 per ring. If you have a 0% club, it's 3 per ring. And so if you have a 95, it's 1.1. A 90, it's 1.2. 85, it's 1.3. Write these numbers down. We're going back to school here. Sorry about that. You get a pen and paper. I'll wait for you. Hit pause. And write down these numbers all the way down to 0. So it'll just keep going down like that. 80 is going to be 1.4. And just write those numbers down. So you have some numbers where you're going to start on your clubs. When you first start playing, especially when you're playing one-on-one and you're just getting used to the wind rings, don't focus so much on the mid or minimum club. There's only a couple clubs that you really want to focus on those numbers. And those are going to be your short iron. And really, the short iron is the only one that I have the numbers written down for, because you're trying to get into your short iron range, so having those numbers. So here's how I play my numbers. On my short iron plays at 88. So I think of this club as being a 1.3 per ring. So I'm actually playing it at an 85. So it's 1.3 per ring. And it's arguably should be a 1.2. It's 1.25, right in that neighborhood, right? So at minimum club, I play at 1.3. And then at mid club, I'm playing at 2.1. And then it's 2. Let me write this down here. Maybe I was playing at 1.2. Where are my numbers? See, now this is why you write all this stuff down. 1.2 is what I'm actually playing at. My mistake. 1.2, 2.1, 2.4. I'm playing it at a little bit more accurate than what it's showing on a deal. So this number, and then I add on 50%, or excuse me, 75%. See, this is why I go back and do it 100%. So my short iron, I play at 100% more accurate when it's at minimum club. And this is really the only club, I don't want to confuse you too much when we first get started, just doing the wind ring method. The main thing is to remember these numbers right here, your max club number. But the only one that I really do know my numbers for, because I'm trying to get into my short iron range so much, is my short iron. So that's how I figure out my numbers. So if I'm doing a long iron, I am at max, and then I'm at plus 50%, and then I'm at plus 75%. So if I'm doing the mid or the minimum numbers. And don't worry too much about this. Just focus on these max numbers. That's the key to starting it off. Don't get too confused on the deal. So go through your bags and write down, take a blank piece of paper and write down driver. And then right underneath that, write extra mile, EM. And look at your extra mile, and my extra mile is a 29. So basically that's a 30 accuracy club. All right, so I know that at 50, it's 2 per ring. So at 40, it's going to be 2.2. And at 30, it's going to be 2.4. So it's 2.4 per ring. And write that number down. Whatever it happens to be for your club. So if you've got a lower or a higher up extra mile, it's going to get to the point where it's at 44, right in that neighborhood. So it's a 2.1 per ring. Write down this number so you know what your ring numbers are for your extra mile. And then you want to do the same thing for every bag that you have for driver. So you got a QB, really easy, 100% accurate, 1 per ring. When we get that third bag, I'm going to bring out a big topper. It's 25 accurate, so it's going to be 2.5 per ring. And write those 3 clubs down. So when we look at woods, so right below the drivers, right, wood. And what woods would we bring out here? So if we look at our woods that we could technically use, we got really a Viper. I used my Horizon in this last one because it has some top spin. So like writing down, if you don't have a big selection of woods and you could possibly use them in your bags, I'm not going to write the Horizon down because I only pulled it out for a specialty deal. The main ones I'm going to be using here is going to be my Viper and my Big Dog. My Guardian's too low developed for me to use it on a regular basis. I will use it on some holes because it will still work. But my primary 2 woods are going to be, no, I didn't mean to take a picture there. My primary 2 woods are going to be these 2 right here. So looking at my Viper, it's at 1.7 per ring. And when you get, so 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, 1.7 per ring. That means 3 rings is 5.1. So I always think of when I get a club that's in this 1.7 range, I always think 3 rings is 5 miles per hour. It's a little off, but when we're playing one-on-one, this little teeny off is not going to hurt you. What's important is to remember these numbers. And then trying to work out easy math so that when you're out on the field, you can work it. So Viper, if you've got a lower developed Viper, it's probably in the 1.9 per ring range. Big Dog, 25 accurate, 2.5 per ring. And go down to your long irons. Now, you're typically, I don't use my Goliath. I've never been a Goliath fan. It doesn't fit into my gameplay, but that doesn't mean that you're not. Hey, if you like the Goliath and it works great for you, then use the Goliath. For me, it's Backbone, Saturn. Once I get that Grizzly up, then the Grizzly will take the place of the Backbone. Once you get your B52 to a really high level, you can start using it, but pretty much it's going to be Backbone, Saturn until I get my Grizzly up. So whichever clubs you're using that you have in your bag, so we got an 82 accuracy here, so it's basically 1.4 per ring. I'm not going to worry about the mid and the minimum numbers. It's 1.4 per ring. Goliath, 34 accuracy. So it's 2.2, 2.3 per ring. Saturn, at 51, it's 1.9, and it stays right there. That's it. So that's one of the things about a Saturn is it gets all of its accuracy when it's a very low-level club, and it stays right there so that you can remember you'll play that Saturn for a long, long time, and it's always 1.9 once you get it up to that point. We want to do that for our short irons. Now, short iron is a special deal. I prefer a short iron that has accuracy and ball guide. And I know a lot of people are big fans of the Thorn, but the backspin that's on there, I find that most of the shots with my short iron, there are some holes that in tournaments I bring out a backspin club. But overall, I would rather come in with like 1 backspin and finesse it right to the cup. And I want the most accurate, best ball guide club that I have. And that Kingfisher with 88 accuracy at low level, it gets that accuracy at very low level, like 2nd or 3rd level. And you'll be able to put it in your bag when you've got a newer account. The deal with it is it doesn't have a lot of distance. So you may find sometimes where you're not in your short iron range, you're right there in your minimum long iron. And so until you get a little bit of distance built up on it, that's its shortcoming as distance. But it will get better as you go. As you get it up to level 3 and level 4, it'll start to become a really good club. And they gave it on a recent buff, right before the club card trading came out, they gave it a little bit of top spin so that it has just a little, because it didn't have any before. Not until you got it to like level 4, and then it got just like a sliver. It was like level 4 or 5. But this is a great club in low level accounts, because what you're missing in lower level accounts when you've got lower level clubs, you're not missing. Everybody's looking at the power and all of these other things about it. What you're missing is ball guide and accuracy. So anytime when you have lower developed clubs that you can put a club in your bag that's got ball guide and accuracy, you want to put that club in your bag. So, pick out the 2 or 3. Like if you're playing in a tournament and there's one of the holes that you're bringing out a thorn, then you want to write the thorn numbers down. So it hits just like a Saturn. It's 1.9 per ring. 2 per ring right there. Same thing with wedges. Now wedges are a special deal here. I'm not moving off that Firefly. Nobody's going to get me to move off that Firefly until I get a rapier. The Endbringer, when you get it to level 6 or 7, it becomes the club. But until I get it to level 6 or 7, I'm not interested in going down. I would rather have the flexibility to do the top spin. You can still bounce it to the hole. You got enough backspin here that we can do that. You shouldn't be doing max backspin shots with your wedge. And typically your rule with wedge shots is that you're really close. You're right on the fringe. You're right off the green. And so having that top spin is really, really, really good. There's not a lot that you can't get done with the Firefly. Its accuracy is down. So it's at, and the accuracy is on this. It's right at about 2 per ring. 2.1, somewhere in that neighborhood. I know a lot of people play with a dart. A lot of times people look at the numbers on these clubs and they're like, man, that club doesn't have anything. This one's got power and stuff. You're not using power when you get down in a wedge. So, pick the one that will get the job done the best. And there's a lot of times where you'll wish you had a Firefly because of the ball guide and that top spin. That is the key on this wedge. Ball guide, top spin. And you will only have to use this number, that 2.0 per ring, very rarely, because being at max wedge is an exception. The rule is that you're almost always really close. And so the way that we adjust for wind when we're really close is going to be a little bit different. And we'll talk about that. The last ones are bottom, our usual suspects, rough iron. Whatever rough iron you have that has the most distance, when you get up to the point where you have a Nirvana is definitely a club. I like the machete. When you've got lower developed stuff, you're going to get it really quick, and you're going to get it up in levels really quick. It has fairly decent power. It's in the 90s. It's not in the massive power like the Nirvana where it's in the 120s, 129. It has really good backspin. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this club. You can't see where you're going because the ball guide blows, but you can get up to a hole. So if you're in doubt, you can get up to a hole and put a lot of backspin on it, and you're going to stick really close to the hole. It's not the best long or rough iron out there, but for what you have when you have lower developed stuff, it's not a bad choice. And it'll stay in my bag for quite a while before something can get above it. Sand wedge. Malibu is definitely the choice. When you get a Spitfire, you'll immediately put it in your bag. I mean, the day I get, and I know that a level 1 Spitfire is not as good as what the Malibu is right there, but that 20 yards of distance with the 70 topspin, hello, I'm going to put that in my bag immediately, because the only time I anticipate to hit into the sand, I want to make sure I can get out. And that's basically a long iron. You went from a short iron in the sand, the Malibu, to a long iron in the sand, the Spitfire. And I'm willing to give up a few things to get a long iron And don't worry about that little backspin. I think when it gets to level 2 or level 3, it gets a sliver of backspin, and that little sliver is a lot of backspin on a Spitfire. The Spitfire hits way up. It doesn't hit like a lot of clubs. Let me get my pen to work. A lot of clubs, you're here, and you're hitting out to this spot, and then it just bounces off. The Spitfire hits up like this and hits. So when it hits the ground, it's already lost a lot of its forward momentum. And then it does its bounce, and each bounce is really high. So if you put on just a sliver of backspin, it goes a long ways on a Spitfire because the Spitfire is already losing so much forward momentum with every bounce because of how high it hits. And you put that little bit of backspin on, and when it hits down here, you'll be amazed at how fast that ball will come to a stop with just a sliver of topspin. All right, so let's write down, let's make sure we got all of our numbers here. I got Kingfisher, Firefly, we got the numbers for it, Machete. It's at 94 accuracy. So we're going to play our rough irons a little different. We're going to play our rough irons a little bit different. So take the 94 and divide it by 2, and that gives us 45, 46, 47. So 47 accurate, and that's basically, we're going to call that 2 per ring. Okay, 2 per. So I'm going to play my Machete at 2 per ring at max. So here's max, I'm going to play at 2 per ring. And here's minimum. And guess where minimum is? And right where you're at. It's the only club that's, it and the Sandwich are the only clubs that are like that. So you're hitting 100. So this is basically a short iron. And most of your short irons are going to hit from 100 to right here. This is their range. This is max. Here's mid. Here's minimum. With your rough iron, you can hit all the way back here to right where the ball is. You can hit it an inch forward. So where here we have a max number, a mid number, and a minimum number, and they're fairly close together. When you're using a rough iron, you can hit from 0 to 101 yards. So these 3 that are right here, you're not covering all this stuff. So these clubs, while you're out here at max, may seem like they're not very accurate because we're like taking half the accuracy. Once you start getting them into mid club, the closer you can get them to you, they get super accurate. Super accurate. So the only thing that matters with these rough irons and the Sandwiches is if you hit it perfect, you got a serious shot of getting in the hole. You just have to make really good wind adjustments. And we're going to talk about how to make those really good wind adjustments. But I usually play my rough iron and my Sandwich at half of whatever their accuracy is. So this club right here, I'm going to play 2 per ring. And it's the only one I'm going to bring out. My Malibu, 96 accurate. Once again, I'm going to play that right about 2 per ring at max club. So write your numbers down for your club so that you know where your numbers are at. Let me see if I can get my other account up, and I'll go play some friendlies. Maybe. So I can go into my friend stuff here. Our clan did fantastic. Fantastic. $25 out of 37 people that played this week made the weekend round. That's 67% of the clan made the weekend round. That's fantastic when you think about what it takes to where your game's got to be in order to get to the weekend round. So our goal here, my goal is to try and help 37 out of 37 make the weekend round, where everybody makes the weekend round. Our clan average is 28.72, so a 28.72 finish was the average, and that puts you into the top 7. What is that? About 7%. That is really, really, really good. My goal is to try and help everybody in the clan get into that top 10%, that top 1%, the top 7. All right, I'm in my other account. Let's see if we can get some friendlies going here, and I want to show you how this wind stuff works. Making very slight wind adjustments is really, really critical, because you get out here and you think, it's just a 2 mile per hour wind. It's not a big deal. If you don't if you don't go out and play, shoot some tour. I haven't shot some of this in a long time. Hey. Let's see if we can get out there on the West Coast. All right, start now. Playing with myself. This is illegal in some countries. Santa Ventura. Let's see who goes first. I'll go first and I won't make any wind adjustments. Taking a Marlin. On this particular hole, you don't need to get too far out there. Got a rock. I'm not going to make any wind adjustment there. A little bit of curl to bring it back to the fairway. Isn't it perfect? So when you're on a drive like that with that kind of wind, we've got a pure tailwind. Not adjusting the wind out is not going to be the end of the world. Now, if you're playing as you go up, if you're playing in higher divisional stuff where the wind is a lot higher, that it will be a big deal because you can't leave in a 9-mile-an-hour wind and expect to have a great result. So it's 1.2, it's 2.5 per ring, so it's about a half a ring. So what I'm doing here is you can see where the wind's going. I've put the wind so that it's going in this direction. And I know that that's 2.5 per ring, and 1.2 is about half of that. I'm not going to worry too much about the fractional math. I'm going to put a little bit of curl on it just to bring it back to the fairway. Hitting it perfect. Just laying it up there. No overpower, no special stuff. If you're hitting against big headwinds, don't set the ball up so that you can give yourself enough room to take the wind out. Now, I'm not going to do any wind adjustments on this. And this hole is not a really good example because you can't see where the heck you're going anyways. Key note here, whenever you're doing shots, always leave room between you and the next transitional surface. So I'm in the fairway, and I want to leave myself enough room. And I'm going to use some curl. So I always leave myself room. I never pinch myself up. So it's 2-2. I'm going to put the wind going away from me. It's 1.0 per ring, and I'm not going to do a wind adjustment. What am I thinking? Put some curl on it and a little bit of overpower. And I hit it like 3 rings straight to the left. And I know just from playing this hole a billion times that you need to put I had some topspin left, but you need to put a little bit of overpower. You cannot get stuck at the top of this green. You don't want to get stuck up there at the top. And so if you've got a club like this is like bringing a Guardian to this hole. If you're playing this hole in an upper division, you bring a Guardian, it's only got 3 topspin. So you got to get up there. So I'm going to have to put some overpower on it in order to get up into that range. I'm going to be about 2.5 rings off. Viper is 1.7 per ring, so that's about a 1-ring pull. Got the wind facing away from me. I'm going to use my take shot down here. 1-ring pull. And hit it like 16 rings good to the right. And it'll go right into that sand. That's what you get right there. Look at you. Trying to demo a shot and end up in the sand. I will miss my putt on purpose. I'll get myself back in the game. All right, we have these sand shots here, and don't. So here's the thing with these sand shots. There's max club. So I know out there at max club I'm 2 per ring. Let's go 3/4 of the way. That's about 3 per ring. About 5/8. That's about 4 per ring. So in this area right here, I'm at about 8 per ring. So it's super accurate when I get down into this range. I'll draw that out when I'm done. Get right up on the hole. So it's about 8 per ring. So there's 4. A quarter of a ring is 2. Now it's just a matter of hitting it perfect. Hitting it perfect. See if I can get in the cup. In the hole! When you get out there with your sand wedge and your rough iron, the deal is that we have to think of accuracy different with these clubs. Don't get discouraged when you're in the sand or in the rough and you've got those. The whole goal is not to end up in the sand or the rough. But if you end up in the sand or the rough, it's not the end of the world. Here's max club. Here's minimum club. Okay, it's 2 per ring at max. At about 3/4 of the way, I'm at 3 per ring. At about 5/8, let's say this is the halfway mark. At about 5/8, I'm 4. When I'm at 3/8, I'm 8. When I'm at a quarter, I'm 16. And then anything from there, I look at the cup, and here's the flagpole. From the edge of the cup to the flagpole, I count that as 4 miles per hour in wind. And so if I'm shorter than a quarter of the way of my sand wedge or my rough iron, and I'm down here in this very last area, then I think of it as about 4 miles per hour in wind. And so it's real important. And I know that sometimes I'm playing against opponents and they see me stretch that out. Where I'm stretching out, I'm trying to find out where I'm at in my club. And the reason I'm trying to find out where I'm at in my club is because rough irons and sand wedges don't play the same as other clubs. There isn't just 3 areas for us to remember. We've got a bunch of, like, depending on where you're at in your club, that club, the closer you can get that club to you, it is super accurate. I mean, you saw right there, that was an 8 miles per hour per ring, and a 2 mile per hour pull was just a quarter of a ring. It's just a very slight adjustment. Whereas most people would come there and they would go, hey, it was a 2 mile per hour per ring, and they would use their max number and they would have moved it a whole ring. So when they get on the green, they hit that perfect and they get on the green, they're off from the cup. And so people have this tendency to think that their rough iron and their sand wedge aren't good clubs. The deal is you don't want to have to get into those clubs, but if you can hit perfect with those clubs and you know how to adjust this wind out and you understand that on sand wedges and rough irons, there's a lot more than just a few spots. You can be super, super dangerous with your rough iron and sand wedge. And I'm a big believer in the Ben Hogan way of golf, and that is two bad shots and an awesome shot equals eagle. So don't ever give up. Never surrender. All right, let's play one more. How much time I got here? 33 minutes. I'll play one more here, and then I'm just going to shoot videos this week. And I'm giving you all homework assignments. So your homework assignment is, the first thing is to figure out the numbers on your clubs. So if you're using the Golf Clash Notebook app or the Golf Claddy app, or you're using one of those apps, put all of your numbers in the app so that you're doing it. And you're going to have to use their numbers. Or if you're doing it the old-fashioned way, you can write all those numbers down. Now, our goal here is not to do any, I'm not going to do any wind adjustments. I always like to be at least 2 rings off of any transitional surface. Man, it is really close right there. I'm not doing any wind adjustments here, and I need to get it past those trees just a little. Feels weird not doing a wind adjustment. And from where I was at, doing no wind adjustments, not setting it up. I was trying to use my rock. I have such limited curl here. So it's 2.5 miles per hour. So the deal here is that I'm going to just lay it up. I'm not going to go for it. You don't have to get over onto the other side of that in order to do the deal. What you want to do is give yourself the best look at picking up the shot. It's 2.5 per ring, so I'm going to get the wind going away from me, adjust that one ring. I'm just going to try and hit it straight forward. You can't do any overpower here to speak of because you'll end up in that trap that you're trying to just bounce over, and just lay it up here in the top. From right there, you can get on with a Viper, and you got a really good shot at picking one up. See what it's going to take to get up there. Won't take the wind out. Sliced it. Made a bad situation worse. So I'm playing everything with 77 from the wrong deal. You would be better off as a player to lay yourself up right here and not go for that shot. It's a low percentage shot that you're going to get over, and you're going to more than likely end up in the sand. And so the deal is that you could recover from right here because you've got a Kingfisher in your bag. You've got a really accurate short iron that you can recover from right here, and you can sink that shot and get back on track. 2 bad shots and an awesome shot equals eagle. But hitting yourself in the sand, you're not doing yourself any favors. So I'm going to have to do the bounce over. And I'm just going to snap this off. And I ran out of time. I hit it great, though. I'll let myself get back in the game. So with my Spitfire from this distance, you can see how far I am in my club. There's max. There's mid. I'm in that 16 per ring that I talked about. I'm going to engage about 1 backspin. I usually like to come at these when I'm trying to get up close like this with just a little teeny bit of backspin, because that gives you total control over the ball. And I'm not going to make any wind adjustment here. And I really want to. Hit it 1 ring great to the right. And it'll be way off to the right. I was hoping to hit that perfect and show you that just those little teeny bit of wind effects can make the big difference. So most people will come on a hole like this and they'll see that they're not in the right spot to do that, and they'll push it. They'll do some overpower to try and get themselves up there, not thinking that, hey, I can shoot over and bounce over from the other fairway. So it's 1.8 per ring. My Viper hits 1.7, so we're right at about a ring. It's got the wind facing away from me. I'm right at a ring. I'm using my take shot. If you have the grid that's in, I need to put a little teeny bit of curl on it just to bring it back to the hole. Hit it 1 ring great to the right. Distance looked good, just off trajectory just a bit. Even if I'd have hit that perfect, I'd only been about halfway to the cup, because anytime you add curl, that's a variable that it's hard to replicate over and over again when you use curl. I typically, when I'm using curl, I'm either using just a little teeny bit of curl just to bring me back to the fairway, just to keep me, like if everything on that shot goes to the right, I put a little teeny bit of right hand curl on it just to make sure that the shot goes to the right. But typically I like to play curl where I either have no curl or max curl. If I've got a shot where I got to use half or 3/4 curl, I will try and figure out how to do that shot so I can put on max curl, because max curl is replicatable. You can go back to that hole again, put it in the same spot, and put on max curl, and you'll be able to replicate those shots. Viper, backbone. So there's max club. There's minimum club. So we're right at about mid, but I'm just going to play my max numbers. When you first start, if you haven't been doing the wind ring method, don't worry about the min or the mid or any of those numbers. Just play your max numbers. Get used to adjusting it out. Trying to anticipate where it's going to go. It's 1.4 per ring, and that's 9, so that's about 2/3 of a ring. Now I'll have to snap it off. Isn't it perfect? See if I can get a little bit of run up to the cup. Right there. Nice and easy. Now I won't adjust for the wind here, and let's see what the deal is with just this. You look at this little teeny wind and you think, oh, it's just a little teeny bit of wind. I don't have to adjust for that. You need to adjust for it. I mean, I'm going right at it. I'm going to take the shot. Boy, it feels really weird not making a wind adjustment. Isn't it perfect? And that should be right on the left-hand edge of the cup. And that little teeny bit of wind that I didn't take out was about a ring. And that's where it puts you. So the difference between getting a hole-in-one and not getting a hole-in-one on that 0.9 wind, which doesn't seem like it's anything. I was like, no big deal. It's just 0.9 wind. 0.9 wind is the difference between getting a hole-in-one and not getting a hole-in-one. So, and it definitely, with the 0.78 yards that I had in 99 versus the 1.17 in 77, I would have been at least half that closer. And that's the difference between winning that chest and not winning that chest. So adjusting out even those minute wins is super important. Play one more. We'll do a bonus one. Bonus. Next time I go out, I'm going to go out. I'll shoot. I'll just go out and play some one-on-ones with my 99 account this week. And I really want to focus on just making really good wind adjustments here. All right, in my 77 account, this is a extra. I'm using my rock, but this is definitely an extra mile hole. Couple topspin. No wind adjustment. Little teeny bit of curl just to bring it back to the fairway, hitting it perfect. You got a serious shot of picking up eagle on this hole. And the deal is all you need to do is lay yourself up out here. The closer you can get to that rough, the better, but it's not worth getting into the rough. It's better to be out where I'm at right there and have the shot than to press the issue. Max, and about 2 topspin. You don't need a lot. You can do this with a very low level. 2.6, it's 2.5 per ring, so that's right at a ring. A little bit of curl just to bring it back to the fairway. Hitting it perfect. Just trying to get myself out there into that range so that I have a nice clean shot. Could I get closer and make it better? You bet. But when you're playing one-on-one, putting yourself in the right spot so that you can try and pick that up every time is what's super important. So there's max club, so I'm right at max. I typically like to not bounce from one surface to another surface. I like to get up so I'm dealing with as few surfaces as possible. I'm going to go right at the cup. It's 1.6, and I'm not going to do any wind adjustments, so I'll show you what the 1.6 is. That is a ring, a little over a ring and a half with that club, and that's going to put me just a little bit to the right of the cup. So once again, hit that shot right there the way the wind was blowing, and if I'd have taken that 1.6 out, that's in the hole. That's the difference. And when you're playing in tournaments, that little teeny bit of wind is the difference. That little teeny bit of wind adjustment's the difference between picking up some of those shots and not picking up those shots, is just making those little teeny wind adjustments. When it gets into this spot where the ball guide starts to appear and disappear, it's never a good thing, because there's some moguls right there and I can't get any closer to the cup. 0.9 with my Kingfisher. It's about 3/4 of a ring. See if I can get the wind going in the right direction. See if I hit that perfect. Hit it perfect. See if I can get in the cup. In the hole. Eagle. So right there, I could have forced the shootout if I'd adjusted out that little teeny bit of wind in my 77 account, and not adjusting out that little teeny bit of wind is the difference between getting in the cup and not getting in the cup. So the wind adjustments, I know when you're playing rookie, and a lot of times on the drives, we can be a little bit nonchalant, but those shots that are going into the cup, we're trying to set ourselves up on every drive shot to put ourselves in the perfect spot to make the next one into the cup. And if you don't make those little teeny wind adjustments, just those little teeny wins, if you take those little teeny wins for granted, it's the difference between being a little bit to the left or the right of the cup or being in the cup. All right, that was the first lesson for the week. Write those numbers down. I'll give you a homework assignment. Write those numbers down for all of your clubs and keep yourself a little cheat sheet. So if you play, like I play with a tablet, and when I close my cover on it, I've got a cheat sheet in there, and I walk around with my notes all the time. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but have notes for all of your clubs. If you feel like you can handle the numbers, you can work on mid and minimum numbers for your short iron. But the primary deal is make sure that you have numbers for all your clubs so you know. So when I'm out there playing and I'm like, hey, on this you're going to do, you understand, you've got an understanding of where your clubs are at so that it makes a little more sense when I'm making adjustments. All right. That was just some one-on-one working on our wind rings. Thanks for watching.